Hey there, friends. Paul Glasgow here with Legally Armed America. Hopefully, you guys are having a good Friday afternoon. It is officially 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Friday, October 14th. I've done this little scenario here with this particular rampage killer a little bit different than some of my other ones. Some of the other ones I come out with information pretty fast and I talk about what's happening. And I did that this morning. I essentially did a quick video, said what was happening, what had happened down in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I've kind of pumped the brakes a little bit because this situation's been a little bit odd. The information has been slow getting out. Let's just call it that. Not a bunch of information, not a bunch of detail. I will say this: when I printed this off at, oh gosh, of course I don't have a time on here, but this was sent out at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time this morning. And of course, the headline read 5 killed, including off duty officer, as gunman strikes a Raleigh neighborhood. Now, this is the New York Times, excuse me. So we expect a particular slant, spin, whatever you want to call it. Of course, the headline talks about a gunman, and the very first paragraph under it, at least 2 others were wounded, including a police officer who was hospitalized. The police said a white male juvenile was in custody. So they were very happy and proud to make sure that they put out the race of the person involved. That's when when the race comes out, it was not a minority, because they won't put that out. We still don't know the race of the black guy who shot the people in the New York subway. I say that really tongue in cheek. We don't know the race of the black guy because they've never know when these situations are politicized. No, I'm not politicizing. I'm pointing out the problems with the news media politicizing it themselves, because whenever they are specific about the details, that they have the information and it fits their narrative. Whenever they won't say, they usually have that information, but it still doesn't fit their narrative. I'm going to jump real quick to the gun being used. Now, what I'm being told is, and I'm seeing this in a lot of reports, is, quote, a handgun and long gun were recovered. Notice they didn't say AR-15. The reason why is because most likely, if they have recovered these items, it's not an AR-15 if they're calling it a long gun. I can think of one actual rampage shooting that has happened in my lifetime where they didn't immediately say what it was, and it was still an AR-15. Just one, and that's here recently. Not the Buffalo rampage killing. I forget which one it was. But in every other instance, if they know what the gun is and they don't say an AR-15, it's not an AR-15. So they say a long gun because that's the next thing that can at least connect you to some kind of possibility that it was an AR-15 to still stoke those flames. Now, what I will say is, not surprised to see this, but I have to point out the hypocrisy and the stupidity. With official reports coming out saying that a handgun and long gun were recovered, but not saying if it was an assault weapon or an AR-15, it didn't stop our president from saying this. The president added, "We must pass an assault weapons ban. The American people support this common sense action to get weapons of war off the streets." Remember, there's no report of a, quote, assault weapon or a weapon of war. Yet the president felt the need to come out there and politicize this and make it about the type of gun, because he's still not happy with the little bit of gun control that he got passed this summer. He wants more. Doesn't care what kind of weapon was used. He could care less. This is an opportunity to push and press for an additional assault weapons ban, which he so desperately wanted all along. This is also an attempt to distract people from a horrible economy. Now, more on the shooting itself, and I'll get back on the sleight of hand here and the throwing the ball in the yard to distract the stupid dog. Let's see. 15-year-old, the suspect is 15 years old. 5 people were killed. 2 people were wounded. This, of course, is in Raleigh, North Carolina. The killer is a 15-year-old. This is really sad. This just came out. One of the five victims who has been deceased is the 16-year-old brother of the shooter. I will not say the shooter's name, but I will give his brother's name who perished, James Thompson. I also will put on here, I'd like to say it now because I do respect and feel bad for those who do lose their lives in situations like this. Again, James Thompson is the brother of the killer. The killer, 16 years old, and the victim, his brother, is 16 years old, James Thompson. Also, we have a, law enforcement officer, 29 years old, Gabriel Torres, who was also shot and killed on the scene. Mary Marshall, age 34, was also shot and killed on the scene. Susan Cornatz, 49 years old, was also killed. And Nicole Connors, 53, was also killed. So our hearts and prayers go out to those people. Anyone watching this stream, watching this video, or doesn't feel like folks like me who are gun rights advocates don't have a right to send out thoughts and prayers can simply kiss my ass. You don't have the right to tell me what I can or can't do. Just because I don't agree with your unconstitutional ways does not mean that I don't care about the people. In fact, I feel like I care more about the people out there who might be victims or future victims of crimes like this, simply because I looked for the true root cause. Remember, guys, I wrote a book on this. I don't see these liberals out there who are telling us that we can't pray and think of the people out there and the families out there who have victims in situations like this. I don't see them doing any real work other than trying to ban guns. And that's not real work. That's simply towing the political line of a particular political party. So don't tell me who I can or can't pray for. I got this because I'm the one, and most of us in the gun community are the ones who are trying to try to minimize things this from happening, and the other side is not doing anything. All they're doing, you want to know the truth, they're fundraising on the backs of dead people. That's all they're doing. This is a massive fundraiser for them. You may never see publicly these anti-gun groups high-fiving each other, but they are, even if it's figuratively high-fiving each other. They make tons of money. It's proven. Their numbers spike for membership because they come out and call for assault weapons ban and all kind of crazy stuff like this after these. These are big time fundraising events for them. They make a lot of money off these shootings. And I don't think I'm really going to give these people a pass here. I don't think they're that cold to where they would ever openly say, yes, more people died. We're going to make some money. But I also don't see them saying, hey, guys, now's not the time to sign up for membership. We need to mourn these people, and we'll worry about membership drive this week. Nope. They immediately get after the membership driving. Immediately. By the end of the day today, if it's not already happened, I will tell you the one you can look at the most. Gabby Gifford's organization, simply it's her husband's organization. He pimps her out to put her name on it because she's a victim of a shooting, but it's Mark Kelly Giffords is who's really pushing all that. He's the first one. Their organization will be the first one to come out and they'll fundraise. The next behind that is the Everytown for Gun Safety. They'll be the next. By the end of the day today, they'll be fundraising. I have not looked at their websites today, probably already doing it. Back to the shooting. Again, what a horrible situation. This kid shoots his 16-year-old brother. I can't even imagine where the mind goes where a 15-year-old kid just gets to that point where he wants to shoot his brother. It would appear that I have not seen that the 16-year-old, I'm assuming the 16-year-old also lived with the father, but the 15-year-old shooter definitely lived with his father in this community. Again, my assumption is they probably both did. Probably what led to the argument. Probably some kind of a sibling rivalry or something like that took place, and just went too far. Now, granted, arguments between brothers don't ever escalate to this. There's something else involved here. Obviously, it's a broken home because it says that a kid lived with his father. Sounds like the mom wasn't there, wasn't around. Maybe a divorce. Maybe she perished, deceased, whatever. I don't know, but I'm just saying it seems like it is a single-parent home. Those are tough homes to grow up in. A lot of people do it. I'm not saying that's a problem. Not saying that is the problem, I should say. but that's a contributing factor, a broken home. Of course, he's probably bullied too at some point, and he was on psychotropic drugs. He was. I'm just waiting for that to come out, if it ever does, because we know that's what happened. It is literally involved in every single rampage killer at a young age. Their own psychotropic drugs that have a black box warning on them. There's also reported that the kid was dressed in all camo and had a camo backpack. Oh boy. There we go again. If you're white, have a gun, and you wear camo, you're probably going to get targeted. You're probably that new little FBI list that they have out there. You're probably on that now. So, whoops, I wasn't even thinking about this. I wore camo today. So I'm probably on another list, a new list out there. So let's see. I'm just looking at my notes here. The governor also politicized this. The governor is a Democrat, and this what explains his failings in his own state, because I think there's 5 of these type of rampage killings that have happened in North Carolina already this year. Let's not forget that the Democrats wholeheartedly from coast to coast are calling for no bail. They're calling for letting these people out on the street because they need to be able to vote, right? So they let them out on the street. And this is the kind of stuff that typically happens. So to divert people from being able to see the horrendous records that these people have, now they got to get up and blame the guns, because by blaming a gun, especially if you're a governor or a mayor in a crime-ridden state or city, what you're doing is you're doing a distraction technique. Now, because you have failed miserably in your state or your city, now because somebody uses a gun to further add to the criminal statistics in your state or your city because you suck so bad, now you can blame the gun as if to say, see, guys, it's not my problem. It's not my problem. I'm the governor, I'm the mayor, but it's not really my problem because it was a evil gun. So it's not my problem. So you can't fault me because I really had nothing to do with it, because a gun was involved. I mean, I have no blame whenever a gun's involved. You cannot blame me. A gun was involved. See, Joe Biden even said it. You can't blame me. So this is their distraction techniques to try to do all of this. So back to my notes here. Let's see. 2 other people were wounded. It does sound like also one of the wounded is more than likely or could potentially perish. Very critical condition. So that may be 6 out of the 7. This is what I find interesting and why I really believe a shotgun was used. Not discrediting the fact that if an AR-15 was used, which again, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it wasn't, because they call it a long gun. Again, if they don't want to call it an AR-15 right off the bat, then it probably isn't. But they do say a long gun. And in fact, a 911 call, one of the third callers, actually said that there was a kid running around with a shotgun and shot a person and ran back in the woods, because he actually shot a couple people on the street. Then he went off into this like walking trail or something like that and shot some other people there. So they called out a shotgun, probably somebody who knows what it is, instead of just saying a long gun. But I find it a little bit peculiar and interesting that 7 people in total were shot. 5 already died, and 6 may die also. 6 out of 7 people that were shot could die. 5 for sure have died already. In many cases, especially since this was outside, this was on a street and then in the woods. It's not like a mall where people are crowded or corralled and can't get away. What I'm seeing here is he probably had a shotgun, because his shots were very effective and apparently very lethal when he shot these people. Point blank or not, if he had some kind of a buckshot or something like that, it sounds like his shots were very effective if you're looking at trying to actually murder people. So let's not forget also that this is a type of weapon that Joe Biden said you don't need an AR-15. You should have a shotgun instead. My point is, at greater distances, people who aren't very, very well trained and don't have AR-15s, for instance, locked in at a really deadly, range and sighted in properly, that they're not very effective with them. In other words, they don't always hit what they're shooting at. It takes somebody with at least a tad bit of training to aim an AR-15 at any kind of sizable distance and be effective and accurate with it. A shotgun, not so much. And it doesn't even sound like he used a handgun. There's no reports on the handgun being fired. So again, this all is starting to point at a shotgun being used because of the lethality of it and the accuracy of it being outside. Again, had he been in a mall, it's a different story. He may have only been 10 feet away from everybody that shot. Again, these are not stats that or information rather that we know yet. But if you're a gun guy, a lot of this is probably making sense to you because, yeah, I mean, it seems like that's where this is actually heading as far as that goes. Let's see. Yeah, the governor did mention that this is an infuriating and tragic act of gun violence. Again, trying to, I guess, move the needle a little bit in his favor to not point out his failings. That's really all that I've got on this right now because, again, there's not a lot of information that has come out on this. This is one of those kind of shootings that you're like, man, what is really going on here? Because it's such a peculiar look right now. Now, granted, the shooter, the killer's name is out. They've put his name out. I'm just not going to repeat it because I'm not going to give this kid any of the notoriety that he wants. And the kid, by the way, the shooter, he's still alive. He's in the hospital right now. They did capture him. He apparently, well, let me back up. I'm not going to say apparently he was shot. My guess is he was shot, but he was taken alive by law enforcement. So kind of makes you wonder he might have got popped a little bit. But he is in the hospital. Took him to the hospital. I don't think he's out of the hospital yet because he's not been brought to jail yet. So my guess is that's where he still is. So, yeah, 15 years old in the hospital, taken alive. We're going to find out more about this. Shot his brother, who was 1 year older than him. What a horrible, horrible thing for that father to deal with now. Got one son who's a killer and one son who's dead. It's just awful, awful, awful. Don't know if he's got other siblings. Don't know. I know that none of the other siblings were named as or have so far. Just an unfortunate thing, man. Look for this. This really, it didn't shot. This took place. In fact, I'm going to pull up. Let's see if I can get to it real quick. I want to see if I can't pull up this website that I have been looking at for live updates. Let's see here. Raleigh, North Carolina. I think this is where the live updates are. I'm going to it's a local news source that they have over there in the Raleigh area. Let's see here. Actually, that's the CNN page. Here's the one I wanted. Is that it? Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get to the right. The News and Observer. Is that where I'm at? Yeah. So this website right here does appear. Well, there we go. Thursday. So that was pre-recorded. That's the name of people who perished right now. And you see here James Thompson. That's actually the brother, 1 year older shooter, the killer of them. These are live updates. The local news media in that area, in the Raleigh area, I feel like it's probably a better source sometimes because they're right on the scene and they're getting their news quicker. So that's why I'm kind of scrolling here and looking at what they. And if you happen to see the name of the killer on here, it's not because I'm trying to show it. It's just because it happens to pop up on screen. Yeah, not much going on right there. Let's go back to what CNN had some live stuff going on earlier, and now they're not. So handgun, there we go. That's where they were talking about the a handgun, a long gun recovered after the shooting, during which the suspect wore camouflage and carried a camo backpack. Yeah, see, there's just not a whole lot of information out right now. So anyway, guys, I'm just going to go back to this. I'll leave some of this up for now in case they come up with some additional news. Let me go back 1 second right here and just try to see if anyone else has any live coverage going on. Yeah, this is some aerial footage. It appears from yesterday because this shooting started at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And I believe they apprehended the guy around 9:40 last night. So yeah, this is apparently the street where he shot people. I'm guessing his brother was probably shot there. And you notice all the woods around it. There's a green area nearby there that he entered into and continued shooting at people. Yeah, this is definitely from yesterday. It says live, but it's got to be. So anyway, that's, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I don't have any more information. This is something that is going to be interesting whenever they actually talk about what firearm was used, whether it was a shotgun or maybe even a hunting rifle or something like that. This is an area of North Carolina, in that Raleigh area, that is a college town, but also there's a lot of wooded area around there. I used to work up there in the late 90s, early 2000s. So there's some decent hunting up in that area. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's potentially a hunting rifle of some sort. But again, the fact that it wasn't immediately called out as being an AR-15 tells me that it's very unlikely that it was an AR-15, despite Joe Biden coming out and immediately using this as an opportunity to call for an assault weapons ban again. So what a stupid man he is. Again, my thoughts and prayers go out to the victims and their families, the 2 people in the hospital. I pray for a speedy recovery from that. Just a horrible, horrible thing. And I want to see here what they're looking at here. I'm not sure if this going. I'll have to go back and look at some of this video to see what these pictures are from. But I know that he shot a law enforcement officer who was on his way to work. It's very possible that's who that white car belongs to right there. It's going to be, my hope is that neighborhood, you saw the neighborhood, it doesn't look like a horrible neighborhood. It looks like a standard middle-class neighborhood. Everybody's got cameras these days. I know I do. I've got 9 cameras around my house. They're not expensive anymore. They used to be expensive. It used to be somewhat pricey to have decent video security around your house and to be able to have a DVR that captured all of that data, and it's so cheap now. So my guess is we're gonna probably see, if he did this shooting out in the street, I've got for sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my cameras get various sections of the street where I live. So I would be willing to bet that a lot of these people probably have the same access to those types of security cameras. And we'll probably start seeing that begin to trickle out. The law enforcement, they've spoken to most of the people in this neighborhood already, if not all of them, because once the shooting happened, they were going around door to door and telling people to go back inside and shelter in place during the shooting. So it's very possible that we haven't seen it yet, So I don't know, man. Guys, I saw somebody make a comment, an anti-gun person, clearly, that I want to leave this neighborhood because of the fear that I have, but something along the lines that I can't go anywhere because everywhere I go, I'm going to be scared. There's a big difference. That person clearly does not have guns in their home to protect themselves, and they don't carry a gun to protect themselves. Because there's a difference between being scared and being constantly fearful and being aware that there is a present danger out there. People who are scared all the time and fearful all the time of everything and everybody and every situation like this that exists out there, those are people that are not prepared to take care of themselves. There are definitely people who aren't carrying firearms, and more than likely they don't even have them in their homes, or if they do, they have some stupid law where they have to keep ammunition from the gun and they comply with that. And so they're not ready. On the other hand, you have people who are aware of the dangers out there. It's people like you and me. We know that fear is out there. We know that danger is most certainly out there. That's why we carry. That's why we have firearms in our home. No one has ever successfully legislated away evil. And until they can prove that they can legislate evil away and keep that evil either terminated with death penalties or incarcerated, I'm not going to stop carrying. I'm not going to stop being ready. And you shouldn't either. So there's a huge difference. When people say that, I find many times I put myself in other people's shoes. And I found myself doing that when this person said something about leaving that neighborhood, because I think to myself, well, what if that happened in my neighborhood? How would I handle that? You know what I mean? How would I approach that? Would I be scared? Would I want to leave my neighborhood? And I'm not some tough guy. I want you guys I want to make that very clear. I'm not a tough guy. I'm just an average guy. But I'm not scared. I'm not fearful. But I'm very much aware. I'm very much prepared. And I'm aware of my surroundings. How in the world are you on a street and you're aware of all your surroundings? And if you're carrying a firearm, do you still manage to get shot unless somebody snipes you from 1,000 yards away? I'm not blaming anybody that got shot in this instance. That's not my point here. My point here is anyone with half a brain knows that if you are armed and ready and you're aware of your surroundings, you have a fighting chance. And you don't live your life in fear. These people over here that say that they're scared to walk outside and want to ban guns because they're scared, they don't understand the gun culture. They don't understand how the gun culture is ready. Those people who are ready are not threats. They're a threat to other threats. Absolutely they are. But they're not a threat to everybody else. Gun culture, they would welcome people who are heavily armed at all times into their neighborhoods and right next door to them. But because they don't understand that culture and they listen to the anti-gun people, who, by the way, have very well-paid armed security of their own, but they listen to those people. You have people who are unprotected listening to people who are protected tell them that they should not protect themselves because it's dangerous. How stupid do you have to be to listen to those people? Wake up. Stop relying on government and everybody else to protect you. They're not capable of it. It's not their job. And you are going to die waiting on them to protect you from evil out there. Take the opportunity to do it yourself. Get a firearm, learn how to use it, train, and get ready so that stuff like this does not happen to you and your family. It's an ideology that we're all fighting against, and I don't know how we change it. Only way I know to do it is, like I've said in many of my videos before, is welcome somebody that you know is either anti-gun or doesn't have a gun, just maybe sits on the fence, and bring them to the range. Start spoon feeding them a little bit at a time, baby steps. Get them to understand that guns are here to protect me. I'm not a threat with my guns. I'm only a threat to other threats. And take them and get them to understand the gun culture a little bit more. Because, I'll be honest with you, I rely on you guys out there too, if you're my neighbor, to add another layer of protection for me. I may be ready and prepared, but I'm way more ready and prepared when those of you out there are equally ready and prepared. So we all watch each other's backs. Guys, have a great weekend. I'm going to cut this off because I got a lot more reading up to do on this. This is just so new that I don't know what all is going on out there. I don't know all the details, and I'd like to put together a full-blown video on this to talk about all the the details, but it's just the details are trickling in right now. And of course, we're rolling into a weekend, so everybody's going to be distracted by all kinds of other things. So all I can say is, guys, be safe, head on a swivel. Please don't let this kind of stuff happen to you. My heart really does go out to these families involved here, including the killer's family. I know his dad is in a horrible place right now. The dad has lost two sons, essentially. One got killed and one is the killer. What an awful, awful position to be in as a father. I cannot imagine my son being in either one of those places. So, my heart goes out to all of you guys too. Please watch over your family over the weekend, guys. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And I look forward to seeing you all definitely the next time we do a live stream. And if you have any information on this, just email me at paul@legallyarmedamerica.com. And guys, I just want to sign off on that and tell you all to have a great and safe weekend, please.